3. So I understand y'all were unable to reach an agreement through the facilitator. I appreciate your efforts to try to do so. At this point, I'm going to have a hearing on the petitioner's motion. The way that's going to happen is the petitioner has the burden of proving the allegations in his petition by a preponderance of the evidence and proving the likelihood of future acts of violence, if there were acts of violence, proven by preponderance of the evidence. The acts of family violence are outlined in the statute, and I will hear evidence from both sides. The petitioner, as I said, gets to go first because he bears the burden in this case, and then the respondent will have a chance to ask any questions through me to the petitioner if she has any about any testimony given and any evidence presented. And then once he is finished testifying, she has had a chance to cross-examine any of his witnesses and evidence, then the respondent will have a chance to present any evidence and testimony she wishes to. Once all parties have presented all their evidence and testimony, I will make a decision under the law as to whether the burden has been met. We are going to begin with Mr. Madison. I have some questions for you initially. How do you know Miss Maddie Madison?
She's my wife.
How long have y'all been married?
20 years plus.
Okay. And how long have y'all been living together?
25 years plus.
All right. How long have y'all been at the residence you're currently at?
20 years.
Okay. Whose name is on the, do y'all own it?
Yes.
Whose name is on the mortgage?
My name, and I put her name on it.
Okay. And whose name is on any utilities?
My name and her name.
Okay. Do y'all have any minor children?
No.
So tell the court why you filed this petition for protection.
Well, I filed this petition because my wife, she goes off and stay out 2 and 3 days, and then she come back. And I asked her where she been. And she started raising her voice and just hollering. And my son was here. And then she'll start throwing stuff at me and actually slapping me. Then my son will come out and say, don't talk to his mother. And he'll pull stuff out and say he'll bust me in the head, which he hit me in the head before. And I called the cops, and they came out, and somehow they gave her a case number, and they didn't give me a case number, and she used that against me. Now it come around, and he's doing the same, both of them doing the same thing again. I'm 71 years old. I'm actually scared living in my house with both of them.
Okay, so let me ask this. I'm going to need you. These are acts of violence that she has committed against you. So your son would be separate at this point, unless she was a party to it. So tell me exactly how. Describe it for me specifically what happened.
Well, when I was asking her where she been and stuff, she started hollering to the top of her voice, all the neighbors here. And then she threw a ball at me, and then she threw the lamps at me. Then he comes out and he pulls a piece of the bedpost off and said he'll bust me in the head. And that's when I called the cops, like I did before.
Hold on. I'm going to stop you a second. So you said that. So where were you sitting, and where was she, or where were you and where was she when she threw those items?
We were both in the bed and we were talking, and then she threw a ball at me, and then she picked up the lamp from the nightstand and threw that at me, and she busted all that up.
Okay.
She always breaking stuff, always throwing stuff. Every time I ask her, she's throwing stuff.
All right. And what happened when the police came out?
Well, the police settled them down and were told them that if they had to come back out here again, that someone was going to go to jail. And then she gave me a case number and told me I can follow this up because she had talked to him about pulling out the piece of the bed, hit me in the bed. She pulled him on the side and talked to him. And then she talked to her. I don't know what she talked to her. And then she came and gave me a case number, okay, which I put on the affidavit or whatever.
So did the son break off the bedpost and hit you with it?
I got out the way before he could hit me with it. After she had threw the bottle, I ducked from that, and then she threw the lamps. I ducked from that, and then he pulls the thing off, the bedpost off, and trying to hit me with it.
Okay.
And
how long has he lived in your residence?
How long has, excuse me?
How long has your son lived there?
He just came back because he couldn't pay his rent. Then we let him come back, and all hell break loose when he come back because his mom, she don't care what he do. She let him do what he want to do. And when I try and straighten him out of something, both of them get mad and jump on me like I'm the enemy or something.
Okay. Is he your son too?
I really don't know. I don't think he's my son because I think she's going out with his daddy now because they say they're coming from his dad or something. I don't know.
Was he born while y'all were married?
No, I adopted him.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to get at. All right. Okay. How old was he when you adopted him?
I say he was about 9 or 10 years old.
Okay. All right, just one moment. I'm reviewing your petition. Has anybody filed for divorce at this time?
No, but she always saying she wants a divorce and she wants a separation. That's all I hear from her every day. I want a divorce and I want a separation and all that stuff. But I don't have the money to do that. I'm on a fixed income.
Okay.
And I was relying on both of us to keep this going. And she just done went astray and stopped. She even stopped paying the bills.
Okay. Has she ever been violent with you before this?
Yes.
Okay, can you give me some examples?
The examples is it's all the time when she goes out and she don't come back home. And then when I confront her about it, then she gets angry at me. I can't talk to her. And she just start hollering at the top of her voice. All the neighbors here. She just act like a fool. And then
Okay.
if I keep start talking to her, then she'll pick up stuff and start throwing at me. So, and if I grab her or something like that, call the police, then they believe her like they did when the boy hit me in the head and give her a case number. And she had me thrown in jail, and I couldn't figure that one out.
When was that?
That was way back, I think maybe 6 months, 7 months ago. That's when the guy, his son, the son hit me in the head and bust my head open.
So you were arrested?
And no, he was arrested at first.
Oh,
And
got
then
it.
with the next month, the next week or so, they came and arrested me for domestic violence or something from what she had said because they gave her a case number and I couldn't figure out why.
All right. Are you under a bond condition in that case involving her?
No bond, no nothing.
Any no contact or anything?
No.
So you were released without any conditions?
Yes, she didn't even follow it up because it was a lie. She didn't even go and follow it up.
But you were arrested?
Yes, I was arrested.
Okay.
They came to the house and arrested me, and they said it was for domestic violence. And I asked them why, and then she told me it was from the case when my son hit me in the head.
So do you know if that case is still pending? Because I need to make sure you understand that anything you say can be used against you in that case.
I don't think it's still pending because I didn't follow it up because when it was supposed to go, I didn't follow it up because I thought we was all trying to mend it and make it together, but it keeps going around in the same circle.
Okay, so that was 6 to 7 months ago. So then when did you say the stuff happened with your son?
When my son came back, when he couldn't pay his rent, and we let him come back here so he can save up some money, so he can, get him a place, get back in my place, and then that's when she started with her routine. I guess they're going out seeing his daddy and stuff. I don't know.
So no, I don't. So I'm not interested in the infidelity or anything, but acts of violence. When you said that when the son did and was arrested was 6 months ago.
It was about 6 months ago.
So what happened on August 13th?
August 13th. That was when I called the cops.
Okay, and why did you call the cops on that day?
That was the day when they was arguing, and then he was going to hit me in the head again. He said he was going to bust me in the head, and she was throwing bottles and stuff at me.
Okay.
Okay.
Got it. So this is 2 different occasions.
Right. It's 2 different occasions, and it keep happening. The same thing keep happening. I can't in the house. I can't do nothing. I can't say nothing or nothing about nothing.
Okay. So what did the police do when they came out this time?
They talked to them and told them if they had to come out again, that someone would go to jail. And they told me that if I wanted to pursue it further, that they gave me this case number. And that's the case number I put on file when I filed this TPO.
Okay, well, that's a police case number. That's separate criminally, and that sounds.
What you mean is that that's the separate number. That's the number for when we had the melee. The case number that you have on that now, that was the last incident that we had.
No, I know. I'm saying that when they give you a police report number,
Mhm.
that's more like that. This isn't the police report criminal portion of things. This is just a temporary intervention family violence. Any criminal warrants and follow up on criminal cases would need to go through the criminal system. So that I'm just telling you that number is not automatically related to this protective order, but you're saying that you put that number of that police report in your petition?
Yes.
Got it. All right, just 1 second. I want to check something real quick. Do you know if when your son was arrested, he had any bond conditions?
Yes, he had a bond condition. I think she bonded him out.
What was the condition?
The condition was, I think that he stay away from me, and then and no, he had a bond where he had to get a bond from the bond.
Okay, so I need the parties to understand. I know these are very difficult situations and high emotion, but I need the parties to not shake their head, react, act out. That does not make me believe one party more than the other party. I need to understand that the parties can control themselves and their facial expressions as best as possible. Okay. All right, sir. So do you know what the bond conditions were when your son was bonded out?
No, I don't know what the conditions were.
Okay. Are you in fear that if this order is not in place, for your safety, that there will be further harm and acts of violence in the future?
Yes.
All right. Okay. Do you have any witnesses or any other evidence you want the court to consider?
No, I don't.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Just 1 moment. All right, ma'am, you're going to have an opportunity to testify. Some people elect just to testify, let the court know what they want, but you also do have an opportunity to ask specific questions if you wish to about what he's testified to. Again, they have to be specific questions based on the facts testified to, and not testimony itself. Okay. So do you have any questions? You can unmute and let me know if you have any specific questions you would like me to ask him about what he testified to.
Yes. I want to ask him what was the condition of his bond when he was released, because him and my son had the same condition when they were released.
Okay, sir, do you know what the condition of your bond was when you were released around the same time that your son was also arrested?
Yeah, my condition was to make sure I report to court at the date that they had given me.
Did you have any condition related to what kind of contact you can have with any alleged victim in the case?
No, not that I know of, because we lived in the same house.
Okay.
He stayed in the same house. I lived in the same house. Oh, both of us came back to the same house.
All right. So, ma'am, his testimony is he's not aware of any condition governing contact.
But there were conditions.
So, ma'am, he may answer in a way that is wrong or you don't agree with. You can follow that up when you testify, but this is not the time to testify. Okay.
All
right. So at this time, do you have any other questions about what he's testified to?
I'm just going to testify because it was a
That's fine.
whole lot
That's fine.
said. Okay.
That's fine. Okay, so at this point, ma'am, you may tell the court what you want the court to know about the allegations that have been presented.
Everything that he put in that TPO is false. I never slapped him. I never threw a bottle at him. My son never told him that he was going to bust his brains out. None of that happened. When the police got there, he didn't mention any of that to the police. None of that
So
is.
let me ask you this: why were the police called?
He called them. He called them before I called them. He called
Why
himself.
did he? What was happening? So what was happening before the police were called?
We were arguing, and I don't know. He was arguing because he did something and he blamed me for it. That's the way he do. He did
Were y'all
something.
arguing? Were y'all in the bedroom when you were arguing?
We were in the bedroom when we were arguing.
All right. So what happened right before he called the police?
Nothing happened. We were arguing. Nothing.
All right.
We were arguing in the bedroom. My son heard us arguing and he came into the bedroom. He never picked up anything off the bed and said he was going to bust his brains out. He never did that.
But what did your son say when he came into the bedroom?
He said, he asked us, why were we yelling and screaming at each other? That's what he asked.
Okay,
his
so y'all were yelling and screaming at each other. Was anything
Right.
knocked over or broken?
No, nothing. Nothing was broken. Nothing.
Did the police see anything broken?
No.
Okay. So he calls the police. So at what point do you call the police?
I didn't call the police. I just told them what happened when they came out.
So what happened when they came out?
We was all in the same room, me and him and the police officers. We were all in the bedroom, and they was asking questions of us. He never told them that I slapped him or I threw anything at him.
So how did the police leave it?
They said that they didn't arrest anybody because of, I have the police report. Oh, they didn't arrest anybody because there was no probable cause.
When they left, so how did they end up arresting are you talking about the incident 6 months ago or the incident on August 13th?
Nothing happened 6 months ago. That was in 2018, what he's talking about. Nothing happened.
So when was your son arrested?
2018.
Okay. So nobody was arrested 6 months ago?
No.
So what happened in 2018?
2018, he was ranting and raving like he usually do. He came down the stairs. I had called the police on him when that incident happened. I got up, I came down, went downstairs in the family room. I was sitting down there talking to my son. He came down there ranting and raving. He ran up on me. He pointed his finger in my face and he grabbed me by my neck. That's when my son got in it. That's when my son became involved. He told him to take his hand off his mama.
All right. And so who was arrested then?
He was arrested and my son was arrested for hitting him.
And what happened with those cases as far as you're aware?
They both went to jail. They both let out on bond. They was told that both of them had to go to anger management class. Both of them.
As their bond condition, the domestic violence, not as a condition. What happened with the cases themselves? Do you know?
No, I don't know what happened with the case. Well, my son's case was dismissed, but I think his is still pending.
Was that in DeKalb?
That's in DeKalb.
Do you know if it was a misdemeanor or a felony?
I can't recall what it was, but I don't know. I can't remember.
All right.
I think it was simple battery. I don't know what it was.
So what do you want the court to know further about what happened on the 13th? All right, and just one moment. I see Miss Abbasi is back. Are y'all ready? Or
Yes,
have you emailed something? Go ahead.
It's filled out. I'm about to hit reply right now and send it.
Okay, and has Mr. Murphy had a chance to review it and everything?
He has. I've read it out to him. I didn't know what was to happen if I'm supposed to type in his name under consented to. I typed in my name. I just left his section blank.
All right, I'll put how would you prefer to do that, Mr. Murphy? I can type your name and say consented to an open court.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, it was on you. I gave Mr. Body my express permission to sign my behalf.
Okay, so Ms. Abbasi, I'll ask you just to sign it and say with express permission,
Okay, let me resend it then.
and then resend it, and then we'll go over it, and so y'all can go on to your next case. And I'm not sure, Mr. Murphy, I don't know if the deputies were able to give you any information about making your court date in the morning in Cobb.
They were not, but
Okay.
hopefully they'll come get me.
Okay, well, they certainly, if you're in custody somewhere else, we will make sure that Cobb knows that you were in DeKalb this evening, so there's no confusion about where you might be. Ms. Abbasi, he had mentioned that he has a court date in Cobb County tomorrow morning at 9 and wanted to know if he was going to be able to make that appearance.
What court is it? Is it the magistrate court?
Superior.
Superior?
No.
Is there someone you want me to email? Just to, I mean, they know where you are, I'm sure, but I'm happy to send an email if you need it.
You can email my previous attorney and just let him know.
Okay. I said I emailed him before and he didn't reply, but I will email him again and hopefully at least he gets it.
All right. And we may also be able to send an email to Cobb County Superior Court, just for the sheriff's office to remind them that you do have that court date tomorrow morning. All right. Okay. So just, all right. I just got an order. And in parties in this current case, Mr. and Mrs. Madison, if y'all can just bear with me while I get this, this order, reviewed so I can take care of Mr. Murphy and Ms. Abbasi. Yeah. Perfect.
And I just have Andrew Thurston Murphy, WEP with express permission.
Okay.
It doesn't give me very much space.
No, PDFs can be tricky.
Yes.
The respondent agrees to not have any contact or approach the petitioner. There is, he's not to come within 100 yards of her, but there is the acknowledgement that, yeah, it's a little bit smaller. The acknowledgement that, you can't come in within 100 yards of her immediate family and residence or place of employment or school, with the understanding that both parties are attorneys and may be required to appear in the same courthouse. And if acting on official court business as an attorney, it should not be a violation of the order. Is that correct, Ms. Abbasi?
That's correct.
And Mr. Murphy, okay. And that you not have any contact with her whatsoever. Service via e-file is permitted if part of the normal court process. And that the order will be in effect from today through September 11th of 2024 when it will expire. And I have the additional item down here that parties may come across one another in a professional setting. Respondent shall make all efforts to leave or otherwise avoid the petitioner. So is that what you and your client agreed to, Ms. Abbasi?
Yes, it is.
All right. And is that what you have agreed to, Mr. Murphy?
And then there was a provision in there that basically said that about my criminal and civil matters going forward in the future.
Oh, that should be in there, Judge, with the Fifth Amendment, not waiving Fifth
All right,
Amendment.
hold on. Let me make sure it's in there because I want to make sure I read it. It's there's a lot of language. I want to make sure I have it all. Yeah, so I have in paragraph 1, that it says the respondent, and that's the language of the order, concedes the factual basis for the order and consents thereto that the petitioner is in reasonable fear for her safety, but respondent invokes his or her Fifth Amendment right not to admit or deny the allegations for future criminal and civil matters.
Correct, Your Honor.
Does that sound correct? Okay,
Correct.
and have I missed anything else, Mr. Murphy or Ms. Abbasi?
Nope, not for
Okay.
me.
All right, so Mr. Murphy, this will become order of the court once I have signed. Since you are still, you'll be going to the Cobb County Jail though, so I'm not sure the best way for him to get a copy of the order.
I'm happy to mail him a copy.
And then
Okay.
if the court wanted to take my email, they can email me a copy as well. If they want.
Okay,
What
Okay.
email
okay,
address?
Ms. Madison, it looks like Mr. Madison's case was dismissed for warrant of prosecution in 2019, so there should, unless there's another arrest, there should be no bond conditions at this time. So you can continue, ma'am, unmute and continue what you want the court to know about the recent allegations.
Okay, he stated in the TPO that he feared for his life, but he slept in the bed with me the same night. The same night he slept in the bed with me, and the following night he slept in the bed with me, but he feared for his life. And also, Your Honor, I submitted, according to the TPO, that I could submit police reports, pictures, so of my injuries, and that's what I did.
From when did you get injuries?
I got them in 2018, they were all in 2018. I have several. My nose been broken, my eyes been black, my lip
By
been
who?
by Mr. Madison. He has a history of domestic violence.
All right. All right. Madam Clerk, do you have any exhibits for her?
Okay, so I do see exhibits here.
Okay. Ma'am, do you know how your exhibits are labeled?
It's like document 3.
All right, we can pull them up.
Okay, let me share my screen.
Ma'am, do you know what this text thread is? Did we lose the petition, the respondent?
It looked like we did.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll see if she rejoins shortly. Otherwise, we'll start another case and resume when she gets back. How do you know Mr. Hall?
It's my husband,
How long have y'all been married?
17 years.
All right. And how long did you live together?
We've been living together probably 20 or 19.
Were you living together when you filed this petition?
Yes,
You were living at you were both living at the same residence?
yes. We're going through a divorce.
Okay. All right, I'm just reviewing the petition. So do you have minor children together?
We do.
Okay. Oh, I see this now. Okay. And so what's been going on? Why did you file this petition?
On August 17th, we got into a verbal altercation. Like we just started arguing. I left, and when I came back, my bedroom door was kicked in and my room was vandalized. My jewelry was taken, including my passport, my social security card, my computer. And my room was vandalized. And it took me to call the police 4 times to get my stuff back.
Okay, so let me stop you for a second. Who is the house owned or is it a lease?
No, we own the house.
And are both of you on the mortgage?
No,
Who's on the mortgage?
Richard.
Okay. How long have y'all lived at that residence?
17 years.
And who's on the utilities?
Me.
All right. Were y'all living, you said my room, were you staying in separate bedrooms at the time?
Yes, we're saying that we were staying in separate bedrooms, and my door was locked.
All right. Who else is in the house?
My 2 daughters, Morgan Hall, 17, and Kendall Hall, 14.
Okay. So you said that your jewelry,
My jewelry was
Passport.
taken, my passport, social security card, all my paperwork for the divorce, my computer, all my financial records, everything that was in my office. There was a photo album
was your
that was,
office in your room?
yeah, my office is in my closet, yes.
All right. Go ahead. What did you say?
There was a photo album that was destroyed, and there was, he just wrote words all over the wall.
What was written on the wall?
This should teach you to stop embarrassing me.
Did you recognize the handwriting?
Yes,
Who did you recognize the handwriting to be?
his.
What was it written with?
Marker?
Okay.
I can show you. I still have some in the closet.
Okay. So you said you called the police?
I did, because I didn't know where he had put my things, and he wouldn't give them back to me.
When you say he wouldn't give it back to you, did you ask him for them?
Oh, yes.
And
Several
how did
times.
that take place? Tell me what happened.
I texted him. I called him. He wouldn't answer the phone, so I texted him and I asked him for my stuff back.
Did he respond?
Yeah, he responded with profanity and just disrespectful comments.
Can you tell me this gist of what was said?
Basically, that's what you get for embarrassing me. And I'm not giving you your stuff back. I can look up the messages.
All right. So what happened when you called the police?
They came out and they told me that they would arrange for me to go pick up my stuff at his shop, because my daughter apparently he let her into the conversation, and she told me that my stuff was at the shop, because I thought he told me, he sent me a text message saying that he put my stuff in the dumpster at Publix. So that's where I was going to go look for my stuff. But she told me that he had it at the shop. So I called the police and asked them if they can go with me to the shop to get my stuff. And they told me because it was in two different jurisdictions, they would have to make arrangements. So when I got to the shop, I had to call McDonough police for them to come to tell me that it was community property and I wasn't able to get anything. So ultimately, they let me go into the shop. I took his laptop. Once I took his laptop and he saw that I took it, then he gave me all my stuff back.
Where were you? Were you at his shop when he gave you the stuff back, or how long did you have his
No.
laptop?
I took his laptop out of the shop. I put it in my car. The police saw me. And then we drove back to the house. There was another police escort here. I had to call them because they told me not to get out of my car until they arrived. So when they came, he went up into the attic apparently and got all of my stuff and put it on the lawn, and we exchanged items. So I gave him his computer for him giving me all my stuff back in a trash bag.
All right. Has anybody filed for divorce at this point?
Oh yeah, we filed for divorce in December and February. He filed in December and I got my lawyer in February.
And where's that pending?
We just went to mediation yesterday, so now we have to go to trial.
All right. Where though? What county? Is it in
Henry.
DeKalb? It's in
Henry.
Henry.
Mhm.
But y'all live in DeKalb, right?
We live in Henry County.
Both of you?
Yeah, no, he lives in DeKalb County. I live in Henry County.
Okay, so now you're gonna have. I'm thoroughly confused.
He stays. He doesn't come to the house. He comes to the house periodically when he feels like it. But his main residence is in Stone Mountain. So they
Is that
asked.
your residence?
No, my residence is in Henry County, Eagles Landing.
All right, I'm gonna probably need to hear more testimony on that. So the door that was kicked in was your residence?
Yes. My bedroom door.
So where does he get mail?
He gets mail at Kensington Trace, at Henry County.
Okay.
Or he could get mail both. I'm not sure. I know he still gets mail here in Henry County.
Where is his driver's license address?
You would have to ask him.
Okay. So I only have jurisdiction over people who reside in DeKalb County. So that's something I have to also find by preponderance of the evidence that he is in fact a resident of DeKalb. And so when he's asked to be removed from a residence in Henry County, that presents somewhat of a jurisdiction problem if that's his residence.
Right. I asked him about that when I was filing the TPO. They told me that I had to file where he rests his head. And because he's not here during the week, he only really comes around during the weekends. That was the only address that I had, was the Stone Mountain address. And he works in Henry County.
Yes. Yeah, well, I'll hear some.
So I'm not sure how to file it. They the Women's Resource Center did it for me.
Did you try to file in Henry County?
I did, and they sent me
They're
to
the ones who told you DeKalb?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. All right. So he resides both in DeKalb and Henry County, is what you're saying.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Is there anything else you want me to know about why you filed this petition?
The hostility and the anger is affecting my kids. They expressed to me that they're a lot happier with the house just being the three of us. It wasn't affecting how they were moving, and I think that's what kind of pushed me to get it, because I'm just tired of the hostility and the anger. We don't communicate, and when I do talk to him, it's very hostile, and I just feel like it's best that if we separate.
Okay. Where did he spend the night that all of this happened with your room?
I don't know. I assume he spent the night in Stone Mountain.
Okay. He did not spend the night in Henry County?
No.
Okay. How many times a week does he spend, before you got this order, how many times a week did he spend the night in Henry County?
Usually on the weekends, Saturday and Sunday, I believe. I usually go away for the weekends to friends' houses. So just to get a break, because we are living in the same house together. So I know he comes home on the weekends. So I usually try to go away. So he usually comes home and spends time with the girls on the weekends.
Got it. Okay. But otherwise he's not there during the week?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Got it. Okay. All right, sir. Do you have any specific, you can unmute. Do you have any specific questions you would like me to ask her about what she has testified to?
Specific questions would probably be, why would, just about my daughter's feeling like, things are better with me not there. But I don't really think that is that big of an issue in the whole scheme of things. We're going through a divorce, and I understand that, she probably wants to get things to be
Okay, so I'm gonna
favorable.
stop you for just one moment. So it sounds like you're preferring just to go ahead and testify
Okay,
rather than ask any specific questions.
okay,
Is that right?
that sounds about right.
Okay, so let me just ask, ma'am, do you have any other witnesses or evidence?
I have my 2 daughters. They said that they would, any questions that I don't want to get them involved, but they could speak on their own.
Were they
I don't-
present when this happened and what's going on?
My oldest daughter was present during the second half when we had to go pick up my stuff because she told me where my stuff was. I was driving to Publix because I was telling her she had to go to work, and I had to tell her I was going to Publix to pick up my stuff out of the dumpster, and she told me that's when it was at the shop. So she
Okay,
got
well,
involved.
I'd prefer not to have to call them
Okay.
in this scenario if we don't have to.
Okay.
It sounds like she was present and involved in some of the communications with both parties. Is that what
You're
your
right.
testimony is, ma'am?
I'm a police officer, right?
Okay. All right. So I won't need her at this point. So, sir, you may now tell me what you would like me to know, and I'll let you know. I'm just deciding whether there's been an act of family violence committed by a preponderance of the evidence and whether without this order, there's a reasonable likelihood of future acts. Family violence can be everything from criminal trespass, which can be interference with mutually owned property and the use of that property, all the way up to felonies, but it doesn't have to be a felony. And so that's what I'm deciding here. So I'm not, the parenting and children's feelings about parents and things like that is really going to need to be addressed in the divorce case. And so even if I do issue an order today, any future orders in any divorce case would supersede anything in this order to the contrary, if I issue one. So, sir, at this point, I will hear from you on what you would like the court to know about the allegations.
Yeah, so on that particular day, which was, I believe, August 16th, I had just got out of the hospital. I was in the ICU for the week before due to some blood pressure issues. And while I was there, she came to the hospital room, and I can't say she was attempting to get my blood pressure up, but the things that she was saying kind of led me to believe that if I didn't ask her to leave, then my heart rate would go up, and they would have to keep me in there longer to try to, So I asked her to leave, and then the next day, she hasn't come to my office, which is a business that I started right before I met her. But she hadn't come there since I filed for divorce in November, on November 29th to be exact, is the day that I filed. And she hadn't been there since that day. And there was a new secretary that I had working there. And while I was in the hospital, she went there with another person. I don't know who the other person was, but they were attempting to intrude. And even though we're married and that could possibly be community property in the court of law, the way that she was doing it, I know it was only to gain something to have the upper hand in this divorce. It made me feel very uncomfortable. I didn't know, I couldn't do anything from the hospital. So I asked the office manager to call the authorities to have her removed, and whoever the lady that she was with. So while I was in the ICU, there was a situation going on with the air conditioner at the house. The air conditioner had went out, and I was alone, left with the responsibility of finding out how we was going to get this fixed, because it was hot. It was in late July, August, and a company came out, and they was charging like $10,000, and they wanted me to sign and do it by credit. And I said that I didn't feel comfortable doing that. But she said, "Why don't you just give me your driver's license information so I can just sign the paper?" And I said that whatever you don't have at this point, because we're going through a divorce, you're not going to get from me, because I don't trust her at this point. Just the things and the way that she had been moving, I don't know what she's doing, or where she goes, or what she does, any of that. So that day, on the 16th, so while I was in the hospital, a guy attempted to fix it for $1,700. That didn't work out. He had to keep coming back and forth to the house. I wasn't there. Eventually, he gave me back $1,000 of my money. So the company that wanted to charge $10,000, I said that I wanted to get a different estimate. So I called another company. They came out that morning. I think it was maybe a Wednesday. So while they were there, doing their evaluation. I was in the kitchen. Miss Hamilton came into the kitchen, and something happened, some words over some dishes left in the sink. It was something to the extent she was saying, telling me, don't leave your stuff in the sink, clean your SHIT up. So I kind of took that as like, okay, we're going through a divorce, and it's just something she's just being picky, because here I have some people here that's getting ready to buy a 10,000 or a 9 or whatever they're going to charge me to replace this AC unit. You talk about some dishes in the sink. So it kind of bothered me a little bit, and I could have, went past it, but I apologized to her the next day. But I did say, and I said, shut the F up, like in kind of like a jokingly way, like not a jokingly way, but kind of like I knew I was wrong for saying it, but I was like, man, shut the F up, like that. So when I said that, she got really upset. So she threw a bottle of water at me, and it hit the couch. And she said, "You lucky that didn't hit you." And I was like, yeah, I'm lucky it didn't hit me. And then she just began to get loud and just talk loud and start to embarrass me, because the people that was in my house, I don't know these people. She was saying things that me and her been together 20 years. Personal things, that I wouldn't tell people, that she just so happened to know because we entrust and we've been together that long. So, and I just thought it was kind of unfair that she would be saying these things at the top of her lungs, and these people in the house, and I couldn't get her to quiet down. So as she was leaving out of the house, the front door was open, and the manager of the AC company was coming up the driveway, because he was the one who had to close the deal. But the other guys that was there, they was only there to find out what the problem was. So as the manager was coming up the driveway, the door was open, and she was walking out of the front door, just blurting all kind of obscenities. And it really embarrassed me. And when the guy came in, I said, hey, I'm going through a divorce. And immediately he was like, man, I feel you. And he just, we kind of talked that off. And then the guys that were upstairs, they finally came downstairs, and we all met downstairs to go over the price. And I was really embarrassed, because, they were looking at me, and I know they heard. And it was just I couldn't believe she did that in my house that I paid for, and I'm here paying for air conditioning. So, basically her and my daughters wouldn't be without, air. And it's costing a lot of money, and she doesn't have any money to help me. And so with that, it really embarrassed me. And she did that on numerous occasions before. And since we're going through a divorce, I guess in my mind, I said that she can't keep getting away with this. So I went in the bedroom, which we used to share, but it's hers. And by the way, the door wasn't locked, the door was open. And the only reason why the door was off of the hinges is because I was upset, and I grabbed it and kicked it. But I went in her closet, where she has all kind of printouts of me, and where my truck has been traveling, and all these different things. She's tracking me and all this stuff. So I took all those papers, which is married community property, put them in a bag. I went in her jewelry case. I dumped out the stuff in a plastic bag. I tied it up, and I put it in the attic, because I knew she wouldn't go up there. And I took the desktop computer that I bought when she wanted to start her online. Well, she wanted to work for Pizza Hut online, and she needed a computer. I bought it for her, and I unplugged it, and I took it up in the attic, because I knew she wouldn't go up there and look for it. And I just wanted her to apologize for what she had done, because what I felt she had taken from me that day, I didn't know how to replace that. I'm not a violent person. I don't have a violent history with her. There's nothing else that I knew how to do except maybe play that type of a prank. So when she texted me, so after the incident happened, she left. The guys left. I went upstairs. I collected the belongings. I put them in the attic. And then I went and picked my daughter up from school, because she gets out early. She's a senior. I picked her up, and I went to the Metro store to get a new phone. While I was there, they were switching over the phone, and she was texting, like, where's my SHIT at? And all I wanted her to say was, hey, I was wrong. Where's my stuff at? And I would have gave her stuff. But instead of her saying, hey, I was wrong for doing that, she called the police. She says, thank you for making this easy, whatever that was. She texted me that. Thank you for making this easy. So I didn't know what that was. So I dropped my daughter off back at home when I left the store on my way back to my office. When I got to my office manager came in my office, and she said, hey, the police are out here asking about your daughter, Morgan. So I come out to the front, and they're like, hey, do you know Morgan Hall? And I said, yeah, that's my daughter. And they're like, well, we're supposed to meet her here and all this. So I'm like, okay, So then she pulls up, my daughter, they come up together. The police comes in my office, and he says, hey, are you going to give her back her stuff? And I told him that was married community property, which he has no jurisdiction over in my home. And then on top of that, we're in a different city. So he has no right to, and all I wanted was for her to just basically say, hey, I was wrong for what I did. So I told him that I wasn't going to give the stuff back. So he went out and they talked amongst each other. And then she came into the building. And because I had told them that the paperwork that I put in the bag was community property, then they said that I had to let her go in because my business was also community property. So I let her go in. She took my laptop and I saw her leaving with it. So I followed her and we went to the house, and then the Stockbridge police was pulling up at the same time that we were pulling up, it seems like. And at that point, I didn't know everything was going to go that far. So then he asked me where her stuff was. I told him it was in the attic. He said, go get it. I went up there, got it, brought the computer, brought the bag down, put it in the lawn. She looked in the bag, saw her stuff was there. So she handed me back my bag. I looked and seen everything was there. And that was it. The police advised that things could escalate, in a divorce and when you're living together, and that, maybe I shouldn't, spend so much time around the house with, the thought that things could escalate, which is the reason why I have not been staying at the house, is for my lawyer suggested that I stay separated from her, because when we do get into an argument, she gets very irate. She goes, it's just over with. Like there's no talking to her and calming her down. And the reason why the kids probably say that things are good because I'm not there is because we're not arguing. They're not saying I'm not good because they're not there, because I have text messages of my daughters texting me on the very same day that the TPO was served, asking me for food. I stayed in my house the night before I get to work, and they bring this here, confiscate my weapon, confiscate my key. I'm like, wow, my kids are still at school, So then my daughter's volleyball game, her last game of the season, couldn't make it to that. And I told her, unfortunately, because that was the same day that everything happened, I can't make it to your game because the police came here and I'm not supposed to be within 100 yards of y'all. So then she sends me back a text like 10 minutes later saying, mommy says it's okay if you come. But I didn't come to the game because I don't want her to have that kind of power over me, which would be very ugly if she said it's okay for you to come and then I'm there and then she calls the police. But I didn't want to be at chance, at risk with that. That's why I didn't go. So my daughter's, I stay at home. Like I said, sometimes I'm not there. She's not there on the weekends, and I don't like my daughters to be alone, even though they're 17 and 14 and they're of age. My lawyer said that they're old enough to keep themselves, but she goes away on the weekend. And she knows that I'm not going to be there during the week sometimes because we're getting a divorce. I have to begin to separate, everything. So she leaves on the weekend and knows that I will be there on the weekend. But instead of saying, hey, I'm gone, she'll just go. And then my daughter works. She gets off. She's 17. She gets off at night, 11 o'clock at night on the weekend. She got to catch an Uber. Then she wants to Uber or Lyft to her friend's house. And I'm like, and if I'm not there, then my 14-year-old is there by herself. My 17-year-old is in Lyft and Uber after midnight doing what, going to friend's house that's much older than her. And I want to be there for them. That's why I come home on the weekends, because I know she's not going to be there. I can't hear you.
You're muted.
Sorry, there's a few questions I need to ask for some more information. Ma'am, are you asking this order to be extended for 12 months in fear of future acts of family violence?
Yes.
Okay. Are you asking the children to be included as protected parties?
Well, that's what I was talking to the facilitator about. I told him that he does have a relationship with his daughters that I didn't want to interrupt. If he can just stay away from me in the house, that would be fine. But
Okay.
he does have
Do
a
the
relationship.
children have their own phones?
They do.
Okay.
They do. And the reason, can I add? The reason that they want him out the house is because he drinks heavily.
Okay,
And
well, we're
I
not
don't-
going to talk about reasons that they want him out of the house or not,
Okay.
because it's not acts against them, and I'm not deciding custody here.
Right,
I am. So that's my question. So if
The alcohol determines his behavior.
so, so if so, here's what I'm going to tell you, sir. What you've told me about this. I understand marital property, but I will also tell you that I see people at criminal first appearance calendars, every calendar, who have been arrested for acts that are described having been done for you by kicking in a door, even if it's your own residence. It's interfering with the use and possession of jointly owned property. You're interfering with the use of another's property, taking a cell phone from a girlfriend or boyfriend or wife, snatching a cell phone from them. That's criminal trespass to property, Family Violence Act. So what I have heard is active family violence. Marital property is ownership and disposition of all that can be decided in a divorce case, but for criminal cases, you can't. It is an act of family violence to do something in the ways that you have described. So I do find that there has been acts of family violence committed, and the way things are going, there's a reasonable likelihood of future acts in the future, because it does not sound like things are going well right now between the two of you. I am open to, obviously, any orders, future orders in any divorce cases will rule in this.
Well, I can say that there won't be any future violence. Like, that wasn't a violence, and that won't take place. I told her that if I knew that saying that to her would have caused all of that, I wouldn't have said that.
Sir,
So that was
taking into account the stuff written on the walls, all of that, it doesn't sound good. Knowing you have a divorce case pending, I have concerns about things happening in the future between y'all without this order being in place at this time. And so I have found I'm going to issue the order. What I'm trying to decide at this point is, she's going to stay at the residence. You can't go to her residence. You can't go within 100 yards of her. Ma'am, do you want me to include the children in this order at all? Or do you want me to leave them out and just have it say the divorce shall address custody?
Divorce will address custody. But
And
how
take
would
them out as protected parties?
Yeah, because I don't think he would do anything to his daughters.
Okay. So that means that he can have communication with them. He can go to their school. But if you're there, if there are any events, I don't know how far y'all are along in the divorce. So I'm trying to anticipate anything such as going to the volleyball game. Do you want him to be allowed to go to the school activities,
Yes.
just not approach or speak to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So that's what I'm going to do. I will take out the children as protected parties, so that it will just be, sir, that you are not to go to because what I heard about police being in people's yards, taking property back and forth, y'all may not realize that the things have reached a dangerous level. And so there needs to be an intervention at this point, from what I've heard. The respondent is to stay away from the petitioner's residence and any school residence or workplace in the future of petitioner. Not come within 100 yards of her, not have any contact, direct or indirect, with the petitioner. This does not preclude court. Court is different. You can go to court and attend court proceedings and go through court proceedings. That's not a violation of this order. Respondent, when accompanied, is there anything that you still need to get from the resident, sir?
yeah, if I'm not going to be allowed at my residence, there is some things that I need to get.
Okay, so you'll be allowed, it needs to be arranged, and the phone number will be on the order with the DeKalb County Sheriff's Office domestic. Well, actually, it'll have to be law enforcement, right? Because the residence is in Henry County. So you will be, it needs to be arranged with law enforcement in advance via their non-emergency phone number. To escort you to retrieve remaining personal belongings one time only on or before, we'll say October 6th, 2023, just to be sure you have time. And the parties are not to sell, encumber, damage, otherwise dispose of property that is the joint property of the parties or the petitioner's personal property. And the parties are not to disconnect or have disconnected any home utilities, change or have changed or cancel or have canceled any auto, life, health insurance for the parties and the minor children. Ma'am, is the vehicle, you still need the use of the vehicle?
Yes, the vehicle is mine. And I also need to know if he has insurance on that vehicle.
Well, sir, do you have insurance on the
I
BMW?
don't know if he canceled it or not because we haven't
Okay,
spoken.
well, if it's canceled at this point, then you're gonna need to take it out yourself.
Okay.
Because I'm not gonna, so, sir, do you know if there's any insurance on the BMW she's driving right now?
I believe it is about to cancel, if I'm not mistaken. It is wearing down. I think it's coming to the end of the policy, and she will have to renew it.
Well, whose name is it in right now?
It's in my name.
Okay, so no, so you can't cancel it or have it canceled because that's going to have to be decided in the divorce.
Okay.
All right, you can talk about that with your attorneys, and if y'all agree to something different in the divorce, then that will supersede anything in this order. But this is just a temporary, immediate intervention, so as to not disrupt. And your children's lives are also, we don't want to
Right.
disrupt them any more than we have to. The order you will say that she has exclusive possession of that BMW. Sir, you will need to attend the Family Violence Intervention Program. They are virtual dates that the compliance officer will give you information on to learn to address the dynamics that are going on. The first virtual date will be October 13th of 2023, and the compliance officer will give you information on how to get started on those courses. Additionally,
Do I have to accept that date, or is there a better date that I can take? Because I'll be out of town on those dates.
Okay. Let me speak, Mr.
I'll speak
Well,
with you about
actually-
it, Judge, if it's okay.
Okay, all right. Or I could just put the 27th on there. That works.
October
Mr.
27th. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ellis.
If he gets enrolled before the 13th, he can do whatever he needs to do.
Okay. Oh, so if you may not, so he may not actually have to appear there on the 13th.
That's correct.
Okay, so I'll let you talk to Mr. Ellis, sir. It sounds like if you get enrolled before you need to, then because you want to have time to get it done and get it done with as soon as you can. So we'll leave it at the 13th. You can talk to Mr. Ellis. If I need to come back and make a change, y'all can come back. But otherwise, it sounds like if you can get enrolled before then you won't need to worry about that date.
Okay.
All right. Additionally, while this order is in effect, you are not allowed to own firearms under federal law. And I'll put respondent shall arrange.
So you say I'm not allowed to own firearms?
No, while the order is in effect, it's a federal law.
Okay, so if I already own them,
They need to be surrendered to law enforcement.
okay.
Mr. Ellis can talk to you about that. Okay, it's just while the order is in place. Additionally, I'll put petitioner or respondent may arrange visitation with the minor children through the minor children and on their cell phones. And any future order. Oh, and may attend children's work and school, children's school functions and extracurricular activities, but shall not approach or speak to the petitioner at those times.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, that should take care of the order. It will be filed. You will get an email copy of it when it's filed, ma'am. Sir, you can speak with Mr. Ellis more if you need to about how to get a copy of the order. If you don't get one, you can contact the clerk's office in about a day or so, and they will tell you how you can get a copy of the order. Also, on your notice, it has instructions on how to get a copy of the order online. But any of those ways you can talk to about getting a copy of the order, okay? And that will be the order of the court. We're going to place you in a breakout room with the compliance officer, sir. And then once you've spoken with him, you're free to log off if everything sounds like it's something you can do as far as that court date. Ma'am, you are excused. And thank you all. I hope things get better for you both from here.
I appreciate you.
You left us. We finished another hearing. And so we are back with y'all. You were testifying about some pictures you wanted to present to the court.
Right.
Okay. Ms. Broom or Ms. Goodman, can whoever is available, can y'all please pull up those pictures?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Can you tell the court what these pictures are of?
This particular picture is where he slammed my head on the floor and I have two knots on my forehead.
And when are these from?
These are they're on the picture. I can wait a minute. They're from 2000. This one is from 2021, I think. And the other
So this
one
was
is
a different date?
This is a different date. The first one is from October 2018.
Okay. Sir, do you have any specific questions you would like me to ask her about her testimony?
If those scars was put by me, why wasn't I arrested?
All right. Ma'am, he wants to know why he wasn't arrested for those two injuries.
He was arrested for the first one. October 2018, he was arrested.
No.
Okay.
Well, prosecuted.
The what?
So your question, sir, was whether you were arrested, and you were arrested. It looks like it was dismissed for one of prosecution down the road. But she said you were arrested for one of those incidents.
How you know that they was 218? How you know when those pictures were taken?
Ma'am, and ask him, so ma'am, he wants to know how those pictures were taken in 2018.
They're
How you know
dated.
that?
They're dated. I took them with an iPhone and they date them.
Where is
Okay.
they?
All right. So, any other questions, sir?
No, I'm good.
Okay, thank you. All right, ma'am, do you have any other evidence or witnesses?
Oh, just a bunch of texts where I text my girlfriend every time something went on, would text her and tell her
Okay.
what was going on.
That's not
So
your
about how many times was that?
A lot.
Okay. Okay. So, the actual contents of those would, for the most part, be self-serving hearsay unless, you telling someone else what happened. But you can tell me why you were texting her. What are you talking about? What's going on?
Because I needed an outlet. I needed somebody to talk to. One incident when I had to call the police out was when he went upstairs and he threw all of my clothes downstairs in the foyer on the floor. All of them.
I can't recall that.
I know you
Sir,
can't.
sir, this isn't a time for you to testify. This is her time to testify. All right, go ahead.
He threw all of my clothes downstairs in the foyer, and I called the police, and the police asked him to get them up, but he wouldn't. He wouldn't pick them up, so I picked up my own clothes and took them back upstairs.
Okay.
I called the police. If it's a way you could check DeKalb County, they could tell you that they've been out to 634 1,000 times because I've called them out there.
Okay. All right. All right. Anything else?
Another thing, he has a drug issue.
All right. Well, I'm not concerned about drugs unless they relate to the acts of family violence.
They do.
How?
Whenever he get high, he always wants to fight. He wants to fight.
Okay. All right. So, sir, I'm going to let you say any final statements you want to. That you want the court. Go ahead.
Yeah, all I want to say is everything she's saying she is making up, and the reason why the policeman is come out there is because of me calling him to come out. And if I was so rude and rough to her, why is she still there and putting on all of this thing like I'm so horrible and stuff like that? When her and her son, she got her son away, so they wouldn't serve the TPO on him so that he can come over anytime he wanna, and they can come and do the same thing that they doing before. That's all I have to say.
Okay.
Yeah, I am fighting her because she does pick up stuff. She does raise her voice. She gets way out of control.
Okay. All right. At this time, hearing all the evidence and testimony between the two, I have two parties saying the other person is lying. I have past incidents. I don't have enough evidence under the law to find by preponderance of the evidence that she was the predominant aggressor in any acts of family violence that have been recently committed. I just don't have enough to meet that burden. So I'm going to have to dismiss the order at this point. That does not mean, ma'am, do not clap, because that does not mean if this case comes before the court again, there may be enough evidence. All right. Versus either party, because it sounds like there are some issues going on. But as to the allegations in the petition, I don't have enough evidence at this time to make that determination based on what's been presented here today. So the order will be dismissed at this time. It may take a few days for it to get into the system. So you need to be aware of that. And I would encourage you not to have any contact unless and until, and you may need to have no contact and somebody needs to file a divorce. But until that time, you need to be aware that that order may take some time to clear. And so I would wait and get a copy of the order from the clerk's office. You should get a copy. The petitioner will get a copy emailed to him. Ma'am, if you can reach out to the clerk's office in a day or so to make sure they have a copy and ask how you can get a copy of it. Okay. Nothing about this prevents anyone from refiling in the future should there be a need, and certainly not anyone calling police if there is an issue that needs to be addressed. All right? All right. Thank you all. You're excused.